automotive place.
Ready to go?
Right now.
All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming to the Sandusky City Commission meeting. Before our meeting begins, we will begin with an invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. God of creation, thank you for the beauty of winter, for snow, icy window panes, fir trees, warm coats, sledding at Mills Creek, hot chocolate, and most especially for the snowplow operators and the first responders who work in these dangerous situations. Let us safely enjoy your creation in all its glory this winter and always. Lord of ice and evergreens, just as nature continues its work beneath a blanket of snow, work your way beneath the surface of our lives and our city. Use this season to prepare all of us to flourish. Help us to find new ways to celebrate this season and enjoy the activities and the quiet that it offers. Protect those who face the cold without shelter and deliver us all from winter storms. Show us how to spread the warmth of your love to all we encounter. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Myers, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, Mr. Murray. Mr. Murray?
Here.
Mr. Vajali?
Here.
Mr. Coons?
Here.
Mr. Crable? Ms. Spargo? Here. Mr. Waddington?
Here.
Mr. Brady?
Commissioners, as they would say in Columbus, or as the advocates would say down there, that they would say that the circus was in town when the General Assembly was in session. We're in town, but we are missing a few of our colleagues. I wonder if someone might care to make a motion to excuse them, please.
So moved.
Second.
Then a motion and second. Without objection, the motion be granted. Hearing no objection, the motion is granted. We have the minutes before us of our meeting of January 8, 2024. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr.
I
Waddington.
move that we accept the minutes of the January 8th meeting as presented.
Second.
Been a motion and second. Unless there's any comment, without objection, the motion will be approved. Hearing no objection, the motion is approved. Chief D'Amico, I understand that you have a firefighter to swear in tonight.
Yes, that's right. Lucas Rosberg is who will be swearing in tonight.
If any of his family wants to get up and take pictures, you can move around, feel free. Raise your right hand. I, Lucas Rosberg, recognizing my fundamental duty as a firefighter of the City of Sandusky Fire Department, do solemnly swear to uphold the standards of my profession by safeguarding the lives and property of our citizens against the threat of fire and disaster.
I, Lucas Rosberg, recognize in my fundamental duty as a firefighter of the City of Sandusky Fire Department, do solemnly swear to uphold the standards of my profession by safeguarding the lives and property of our citizens against the threat of fire and disaster.
I promise to obey the duly constituted laws of the United States of America, the State of Ohio, the City of Sandusky, and to accept the badge of my office as a symbol of public faith, leadership, and trust, to be honored for as long as I remain a firefighter of the City of Sandusky Fire Department.
I promise to obey the duly constituted laws of the United States of America, the State of Ohio, the City of Sandusky, and to accept the badge of my office as a symbol of public faith, leadership, and trust, to be honored for as long as I remain a firefighter of the City of Sandusky Fire Department.
I will continually strive to serve our community and to be an influence for good before my fellow officers and firefighters to the best of my ability, so help me.
I will continually strive to serve our community and to be an influence for good before my fellow officers and firefighters to do to the best of my ability, so help me.
Congratulations.
All right.
Through you, Commissioner Murray, Lucas lives in Bellevue with his wife and a newborn daughter. Prior to getting hired for the City of Sandusky Fire Department, he worked part-time for the Huron Fire Department, Vermillion Township, and he was actually a part-time Perkins police officer also. Lucas and his wife spent a few years living in North Carolina. before returning to Ohio and enrolling in Healey's fire program. He's got his firefighter 1 and 2 certification. He's a certified EMT, and he will be assigned to number 2 shift under the direction of Captain Matt Lesh. Congratulations, Lucas.
Firefighter Rosbert, do you wish to say anything?
Sir, thank you.
Well, I want you're welcome. On behalf of the commission, I want to thank you for the work and the service that you're about to provide to the city of Sandusky. I want to thank all of your colleagues who are standing behind you, and I know who will support you. I know that group is a team. And we have a little bit of pushing and shoving that we sometimes do, but, you know, it's just really great that you guys are there and you keep us safe, and we're very thankful for that. So thank you from the city of Sandusky. We have next a presentation regarding the Housing and Development Beautification Program and a 2023 review, and I think a little of what's to come. And Ms. Debbie Eversole is going to make that presentation. We can wait for you can wait to begin speaking for the folks who are uninterested in the rest of our business too. And if I had been sworn in already, I'd probably go with them.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Murray, and members of the commission. Tonight's brief presentation will be a year-end review for the 2023 Housing Development and Beautification Program. In 2016, the program was created to provide grant funding for property owners to make eligible improvements to their property. And additionally, the program provides assistance to purchase a home located within the city of Sandusky. And 2023 is the 8th consecutive year that the city has offered this program, and it continues to be a success. The 2023 proposed program allocation was $400,000 in total, in which the city would utilize $300,000 for property improvements and $100,000 for home purchase assistance. The additional $100,000 was approved to add to the allocation for improvements, making the budget $400,000 for eligible improvements and keeping the $100,000 for home purchase assistance for homeowner occupancy. During the program year, there were a total of 137 approved applications, consisting of 23 substantial redevelopment projects, 95 exterior repair projects, and 19 applicants received home purchase assistance. Of the 19 homes that were purchased within the city, 16 or 84% were for first-time home buyers, 5% or 26% of the homes were sitting vacant prior to the purchase, and 5 or 26% of the buyers that purchased were from outside the city limits. The average purchase price of the projects that use the program has risen to approximately $125,000. So the grant awards are mapped out to show the approved projects that were located within the city. You can see that they are spread out throughout the city. The majority of these projects are in blue, which indicates exterior repair projects, which are noticeable from the street. And this is just for 2023 here. The red are improvements to the property in excess of $20,000, and the green dots are the people that purchased a property. 11 of the projects are indicated in gray. Those were previous code violations that were remediated with the program's assistance. This slide shows a lot of numbers that refers to the previous years, but in short, the history of the program from 2016 to 2023 details the increase of investment back into the city and an increase in the average sale price for the applicants using the home purchase assistance program. So just to summarize that slide, that previous slide, this is the last two columns. It's a little bit easier to read, I guess. Starting with the blue, which indicates 2023, the city awarded $140,000 to 23 substantial development projects. The estimated private investment for these projects was over $2.7 million, and that leveraged the grant dollars 19.5 times, 19 and a half times. In the same respect, the city awarded almost $241,000 in grant funding for 95 exterior repair program projects, leveraging those grant dollars 2 times. And then all the way at the bottom in the white, the total investment through the 2023 program that includes home purchase assistance, our grant dollars, and private investment is almost $6 million. And then moving to the orange column, that's going to show the 8-year progression. The city awarded close to 1,100 grants, which includes 115 projects that exceeded $20,000, 701 projects improving the appearance of the home, and 257 people were able to purchase a property within the city of Sandusky for owner occupancy. And then at the bottom in orange, the total investment into the community, including home purchase assistance, grant dollars, and private investment, was $45.5 million. And then I just got a couple of examples. I won't take up too much more of your time. 2232 Columbus Avenue. You guys might notice this was the house that had all the Christmas decorations on Columbus Avenue on the corner of 42nd. So they needed a porch repair. The side of the porch was kind of sinking. So their project was over $20,000, and they received $5,000 at the end of the project after it was inspected and approved. 718 Ogons. This one added new windows, shutters, and paint to the home, and he received $3,000 after the completion of the project and inspection. And then finally, here's one that had a code enforcement remediation. This was on 13th Street. They had a violation for the exterior appearance of their home, and they received $3,000 after completion, inspection, and then the violation was closed. So the 2024 program details will include eligible properties, must be the applicant's primary and full-time residence. Property may not be converted into a rental property for a period of 3 years. Improvement projects, exterior repair will remain 50% of the project cost, with the maximum grant being $3,000. $5,000 for a grant reimbursement for projects over $20,000, and $7,500 for projects that cost over $50,000. Home purchase assistance will remain at $5,000 paid to the title agency at the closing. And then there's many more eligibility factors detailed in the 2024 guidelines and application. So the next question is, how do I get one? The 2024 applications are going to be available February 5th, so that's 2 weeks from now. People can get them at www.cityofsandusky.com/housing. Right now, the 2023 guidelines are still on there, just so people can get an idea of how the program works. We will have them available in the lobby. I will personally be sitting in the lobby that full week. And then contact information. People can email me at deversol@cityofsandusky.com. My phone number is 419-627-5832. And then we also, our administrative assistant is very well versed in the program, and she can assist. Quinn Rambo, and her phone number is 627-5891. So I can answer any questions, but I do thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Eversole. Colleagues, questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Waddington.
last year I walked in City Hall, we had our conversation, and you gave us additional $100,000. Is anybody left from last year that could reapply?
We were able to reach back out to the people
Okay.
that applied last year.
Okay.
So we exhausted that group.
So that's, okay, so that group's gone.
Yeah.
and it goes fast. I don't think, I've told a few people who stopped and asked me about it, that money's gone. I think it was sort of Wednesday or Thursday when I talked to you, and you said it was gone.
Well, yeah, we had enough applications to commit the program.
Right.
Yep.
And then the following meeting, we put another 100,000, if you recall, Mr. Murray.
Ms. Fargo?
Deb, is there a repeat people who apply? Can they apply every single year? How does that impact?
The prior program allowed them to apply every 3 years. This program, we're proposing every 5 years,
Okay,
just so that we can spread it out further. Longer.
yeah.
I got a quick question.
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I think it's great that we've been able to do so much for so many citizens. And in terms of the direction, I see that the direction is really to try to help those first-time home buyers. How often has any effort been made to actually deal with the folks who can't find just housing in general, apartments and so on and so forth? I know that the city can't be involved in that particular process, but ways that a door is open for development. And I don't know if you've been involved in that process or what the city commissioners have done in terms of direction for that, but can you tell me anything about that at all?
I don't think that, I'm not aware of anything at the moment, but we do get, a lot of people that are not even first-time home buyers, but we get people from the bank of people that are, that have their purchase agreement in hand and ready to apply.
Okay. Thank you.
Additional questions or comments? It's amazing the leverage that we get, depending how you slice it. We either have on some projects, we get a five-fold return of investment for the city's dollars. And those are put in at the end, as you explained, and nobody has the ability to run off with the money. They don't get until all the work is completed and all of their own money is invested. Or if you look at it a different way, it's more like a nine-fold investment if you include the home purchases. So this has been something that we have steadily worked at. It's the importance of having a plan like this in place and sticking to it for a long period of time, and then you can see the kind of difference that these numbers make. And they do say that that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. This was an innovative project or process program when it commenced, and now we see a lot of our neighboring communities adopting this. So I think that it's been a proven winner, and I'm glad that your office has been able to provide leadership in that regard, because this is a good thing for the entire area. As Commissioner Coons points out, we have a severe housing shortage in Erie County, in Ohio, in the entire country. This is not a local problem. It is a national problem. It is going to require national solutions in the end. The governor has been very helpful in providing some programs that I know our staff is working on taking advantage of so that we can bring more housing to Sandusky, because it's critical. We need low-income housing. We need moderate-income housing. And the rest of it will take care of itself. But we need that. We desperately need that, and we need to continue to be alert for ways that we can partner with the land bank, with the state of Ohio, and others to provide more housing. It's critical, and I'm really appreciative of the work that your office does. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Mr. Orzak.
if I could just add one comment. You saw the slide with the code compliance issue, and I want to again thank Ms. Johnson. She brought forth that issue, and we kind of worked through that this year. We set aside some of the funds for those violations, and the program worked out very well. So, thanks for her comments, and we're still going to do that this year. One other point that Ms. Eversole covered, but in the guidelines, we are focusing on home ownership for these grant dollars this year. So we want to take care of our citizens that are investing in our community. So both the homeowner assistance and the beautification are going to go right out the door to homeowners. And then if there's any funds left, then we can address that. And that's all I comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Orzak. And I think that's both points that you made are excellent points. We do find citizens who have code violations. They don't have the financial means to fix them by themselves, and having the city assist, I think, is a wonderful program, and setting some of those dollars aside is very warranted. And I know it's a change, and I know maybe some of the landlords won't care for it, but you know, we have for many years provided these dollars to any property owner, and I think it is appropriate at this point in time, as we have with other programs, as the city has gotten back on its feet and we're more successful, we can adjust these programs to target them to those that we're most trying to incentivize, and homeownership is important, and we want to help those people pull themselves up. So I'm glad you've made that change. Thank you. Oh, by the way, what is the amount that we have allocated in the draft budget for this program this year?
$400,000.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
It's the same as last year with the bump.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Blair, I think you're up next. We have a hearing regarding the rezoning of Cleveland Road parcels. Ms. Blair, our chief planner, is here to make that presentation. A word in advance, we're a little shorthanded here at the table tonight, and to frame this up is there's a decision made by the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission refused or declined to make the zoning application, or change, I should say, that was the subject of the application. This body can only overrule that with a vote of 6-1 or 7-0. It's simply not fair to the applicant to have them come before a commission that only has 5 folks on it tonight, because there's no way that the applicant will be able to get the relief they're seeking. So we're going to have the presentation tonight, and then we're going to close that, and we will vote on another day when we are a little more fully staffed at this table. Ms. Blair.
Thank you, Commissioner Murray. Through you and to the commissioners in the audience, we are opening up a public hearing for the consideration of an application for an amendment to the zoning map for 2068, 2056, 2054, 2050 Cleveland Road, and a vacant lot in between 2056 and 2068. Those parcel numbers are 57-03358. 000, 57-02994.000, 57-02885.000, 57-02989.000, 57-04471.000. As Commissioner Murray mentioned, we don't have a full commission at the table today, so what we would recommend is that the commission make a motion to close that public hearing, and then we reopen the public hearing on the next commission meeting, which I'm understanding is February 12th. Thank you, February 12th. So if anyone is in the audience, did someone attend the audience today to speak on this case? Okay, so we have no one in the audience that came to speak on that case, but I would, if anyone was intending to attend today and couldn't and would like to speak on this, we will reopen that public hearing on February 12th, and at that point, I'll share the slide that shows the map of these parcels and talk about it in a little bit more detail.
Okay. Anything further, Ms. Blair?
That's all from me. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions of Ms. Blair? We did originally, we almost took this up once before, if I remember correctly, and then the commission adopted the transient rental moratorium, and we thought it was unnecessary to raise that during that period of time. Mr. Hastings, I think maybe a court told us we didn't have that quite right, and we still need to address it. How did that work?
Well, the court, and we agree, at least the law department agrees, the application came in before the moratorium. Since the commission can't issue ex post facto restrictions on zoning regulations like that, the moratorium would not apply to this particular application.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, I'll ask again, anyone present from the public who wishes to speak on this issue? Then, rather than adjourning, we will simply call that hearing as being in recess, and we'll pick it up at the next meeting. Is that okay, Mr. Hastings?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We turn now to audience participation. Is there anyone present who wishes to speak on any of the legislation before the commission tonight? And I think that the audience knows the drill, but provide us with your name, address, and limit your remarks to 3 minutes, please.
All right. Elisa Mazuka, 814 Bardshire Road, and it's not an agenda, but I just wanted to on Debbie Eversall's presentation, if that's okay.
Normally not, but
Okay.
on this occasion.
On the Housing Appeals Board, we've seen a couple of cases where the residents are on limited income and can't do the matching dollars for, they have code violations, but they are on either Social Security or some other form of limited retirement income. And I was just, my comment is just, I'm hoping that something can be done to help those residents who can't get, if there's a $6,000 project, they can't get that $3,000 up front. If there's anything that can be done to that program to help those residents. Thank you.
Thank you for your suggestion. Anyone else present wishing to speak on any items of legislation?
Mr. Chairman, I should mention that earlier at 4 o'clock, I had met with Ms. Gilson on a couple of other housing and economic development issues, and we discussed a little bit about the same issue that you had just brought up at the podium. So there is some discussion going on how to address that.
Thank you for that effort. Appreciate it. Commissioners, we have a number of communications. Would someone care to recommend or to approve those?
So moved.
Second.
There's been a motion and second. Without objection, the motion will be approved. And hearing no objection, the motion is approved. Commissioners, we have 4 items on our consent agenda. Is there anyone who wishes to move any of those to our regular agenda? If not, then Ms. Myers, would you present the consent agenda?
Yes, Vice President Murray. Item A, approval of 2024 appropriations budget. This is the second reading. Item B, approval to submit application for the 2024 State Violent Crime Reduction Grant Program. Item C, approval to submit application for H2 Ohio Rivers Initiative Chloride Reduction Program. Item D, approval of 2024 wastewater treatment plant sludge hauling at Erie County Sanitary Landfill.
Commissioners, having heard the consent agenda, how do you wish to proceed?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Waddington.
I make a motion to accept the current consent agenda items A, B, C, D, and declare that all ordinances and our resolutions as drafted and presented shall take effect in accordance with sections reflected, whether in accordance with sections 13 or 14 of the city charter.
Second.
There's been a motion and second. Discussion. Ms. Myers, will you poll the commissioners first on the motion, please?
Yes, Mr. Murray. Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Bajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
Ms. Spargo?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
And now on the ordinances and resolution.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Bajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
Ms. Spargo?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Those ordinances are approved and the resolution is adopted. Ms. Myers, would you present item number, let's see, we are bypassing item number 1 on our consent agenda pursuant to the recommendation of our chief planner and our law department as previously discussed. Would you present item number 2, please?
Yes, Mr. Murray. It is requested an ordinance be passed authorizing and directing the city manager to purchase a cyanotoxin automated assay system, Cube Automated and Analysis System from Gold Standard Diagnostics Horsham Incorporated of Warminster, Pennsylvania, for use at the Big Island Waterworks plant, and declaring this ordinance shall take immediate effect in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Commissioners, having heard this communication, having heard this legislation, how do you wish to proceed?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Bajali.
I would move to adopt this ordinance in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Second.
There's been a motion and second. Discussion. Mr. Klein, you're always purchasing fancy, expensive equipment. Can you give the audience a little bit of idea of what this equipment does?
Yes, sir, Mr. President. This equipment is a replacement of equipment we purchased in 2015, 2016 timeframe to look at the toxins from the harmful algal blooms that often appear in Lake Erie and in Sandusky Bay. So the laboratory at the Big Island Waterworks is looking to purchase this. It's the only equipment that we have been made aware from EPA. It's the only piece of equipment that is used in the state of Ohio. So there really isn't any other option than to buy this or use a laboratory. We did look into other labs that might be able to do this, and the cost was $10,000 to $15,000 a year or more to do that testing. So this is to keep the water safe, make sure that we don't have any toxins in the water as we're sending it out for the consumer.
Thank you, Mr. Klein. Commissioners, any questions or comments? Ms. Myers, would you, I'm sorry? Ms. Myers, would you poll the commissioners on the motion, please?
Yes, Mr. Murray. Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
Ms. Spargo?
Yes.
Mr. Wantington?
Yes.
And now on the ordinance.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
Ms. Spargo?
Yes.
Mr. Wantington?
Yes.
That ordinance is adopted. Ms. Myers, would you present item number 3, please?
It is requested an ordinance be passed amending ordinance number 23-083, passed on March 27th, 2023, authorizing and directing the city manager to purchase 7 Ford Police Sport Utility Vehicles from Montrose Ford of Akron, Ohio, for the police department, and declaring that this ordinance shall take immediate effect in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Commissioners, having heard this communication, how do you wish to proceed?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Waddington.
I move for the adoption of this ordinance under suspension of the rules in full accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Second.
There's been a motion and second. Discussion. Chief, I think you foreshadowed that we would be considering this legislation. Anything else you'd like to add?
Well, the good news is we finally have cruisers after 3 years. The bad news is inflationary costs from the date we purchased to the date of delivery went up a little bit. So it'll be nice to get our fleet updated. So hopefully this is the last time with cruisers for a little while.
Good. I think we had a program where we were replacing 2 every year for a long time, were we not?
It's 3 every year now, sir.
Three every year.
Yeah, it's been almost 3 years since we've had one new one.
So we should expect similar legislation next year for the purchase of 3 additional cruisers, and hopefully we can get those in a reasonable period of time.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Thank you. Commissioners, questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Pajali.
I just wonder, what's the life expectancy of a cruiser? How many miles, or how do you gauge that?
So through you, Commission President, Commissioner Pajali, we have some cruisers with 200,000 miles on them currently. We'd like to keep it under 150 if possible, but it's going to take some time to get back to those levels. And those are city miles, obviously, too, so.
Well, you'll make the officers and Mr. Vaccaro very happy, I'm sure. Commissioners, additional questions or comments? Ms. Myers, poll the commissioners on the motion, please.
Yes, Mr. Murray. Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
Ms. Spargo?
Yes.
Mr. Wantington?
Yes.
And now on the ordinance?
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
Ms. Spargo?
Yes.
Mr. Wantington?
Yes.
That ordinance is adopted. Ms. Myers, would you present our last item, number 4?
It is requested an ordinance be passed declaring a 2019 Ford F-450 truck as unnecessary and unfit for the city use pursuant to Section 25 of the city charter, authorizing and directing the city manager to purchase a 2024 Ford Super Duty F-450 cab and chassis from National Auto Fleet Group of Watsonville, California, for the Water Distribution Division, and declaring that this ordinance shall take immediate effect in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Commissioners, having heard this ordinance recommended by staff, what is your preference?
Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Coons?
move for the adoption of the ordinance under suspension of the rules as contained in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Second.
Been a motion and second. Discussion. Ms. Myers, you poll the commissioners on the motion, please.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
Ms. Spargo?
Yes.
Mr. Wantington?
Yes.
And now on the ordinance.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Coons?
Yes.
Ms. Spargo?
Yes.
Mr. Wantington?
Yes.
That ordinance is adopted, and that completes our regular agenda items. And we turn to our city manager for his report. And I must say that Mr. Orszag has been a wonderful city manager, and I wanted to mention one of the advantages of having Mr. Orszag as the city manager as compared to his predecessor. It came to mind as we were listening to that young man, the new firefighter, take his oath. and I don't know, Mr. Waddington, you may recall this, but Mr. Wobser read the entire oath. The poor fellow didn't have a copy of the oath, and he was sitting there going, I can't remember what I'm supposed to say, so. thank you.
Mr. Murray, are you trying to say something that I get improper?
No, I'm not. We all learn as we go along.
I could never understand.
He was learning. Mr. Orzak.
Good evening, Commissioners, audience, and staff. I have a donation of $300 for Sandusky Transit from the Vermillion Community Services. If I get a motion to accept that donation.
So moved.
Second.
Been a motion and second. Discussion? Without objection, the motion will be approved. And hearing no objection, the motion is approved with the city's thanks.
We have two donations for the Park and Rec Department. One, we'd like to thank Cameo Pizza for providing dinner for out of school at Mills on January 17th. And the second one is for the Hall of Fame Barbershop for providing free haircuts during winter break camp. Get a motion to accept those in kind.
So moved.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Discussion? Without objection, the motion will be approved. Hearing no objection, the motion is approved with our thanks, and that's really cool that they both did that, so thank you.
For administration, we are saddened to hear of the passing of Walt Matthews, who was a member of the Housing Appeals Board. Don Shara was an alternate with the Housing Appeals Board, and he's been asked and he's agreed to fill that position full-time as a voting member. So I don't need any action by the commission. He's going alternate and going to serve Mr. Matthews a remaining term. And the city would like to acknowledge the compassionate efforts of resident Dora Grant and the steady pool of volunteers for their 8-day, round-the-clock efforts in providing a warm, safe place for those needing shelter from the deep freeze and harsh elements this past week. Thank you also to New Jerusalem Church for providing the space to host this emergency effort, as well as the organization's businesses and individuals that dropped off food and supplies. Finance general reminder for property owners of vacant dwellings. If your dwelling is expected to remain vacant and unoccupied during the winter months, we highly recommend that you contact the city to turn off the water. This will help prevent your water lines from freezing and breaking, which would lead to costly repairs for the property owner. Customer accounting can be reached at 419-627-5893 to arrange water being turned off. Public Works, the sidewalks at the Columbus Ave underpass are fully open on both sides after approximately 15 months since the derailment. Asbestos abatement is complete at the Justice Center, and the contractor is moving quickly through demolition and reconstruction of phases 2 and 3. The outfall project on Monroe Street near Mills Creek is nearing completion, with the roadway expected to be fully open in early February. Community Development, on January 16th, the Public Arts and Culture Commission adopted the 2024 Public Artwork Plan, which is available on the Public Arts page on the city website. A survey is open to the public until March 1st, 2024, to gather community input for the Community Development Block Grant Program's Consolidated Plan. The plan serves as a long-range guide for the program for the next 5 years. The survey can be accessed on the city's website, Facebook page, or paper copies can be obtained at City Hall. And for Sandusky Transit, the City of Sandusky Transit is requesting proposals from qualified advertising firms with experience in the marketing, service, and maintenance of advertising on transit vehicles. Proposals are due February 14, 2024, and information can be found on the city's website. That'll conclude my report. Take any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Orzak. Commissioners, questions or comments for the city manager?
Mr. Chair, I just have a couple of questions for Mr. Orzak.
Please proceed.
One, and maybe you said this, Mr. Orzak, but as it relates to the shutting off of the water and turning it back on, is that information listed in terms of the cost for that? And will that be listed so residents know ahead of time, or instead of calling? Or is that something that we generally do, post the cost for actually doing
I
that?
believe the cost should be on there. Ms. Reeder, do you know your department?
Sure, through the commission president. So the cost to turn off water service, just as a regular request from a property owner where it's going to be vacant, the charge is $30, and that is assessed at the time the water is turned back on. So initially, to turn off the water, there is no fee. When it's time to turn it back on, there is a $30 fee.
Okay, thank you.
And is that posted on I think the question that my colleague was asking is whether or not that is posted on the website so people know that in advance.
I do not believe it's on, like, the customer accounting webpage. We can look at adding that. I know it would be on the law department page underneath the codified ordinances, but that's a long ways to dig to find that, so we can look at adding that directly on the customer accounting page.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for the city manager? Comments?
I got one more question related to, because I believe that, I had an opportunity to talk to Mr. Orzek, and I absolutely feel like he's doing a wonderful job. And we actually talked a little bit about the fact that, we have these appointments for these various, and correct me if I'm wrong, law director, because, I'm a novice. And maybe this comment that I'm about to make is for later. But as it relates to those appointments for the rec board, I'm speaking of, I think it would be great if we actually had a conversation about that. And so I know that the city manager, not the city manager, but the president, the commission president, has leeway to appoint. But I didn't find out until like the next day via email. And so we did talk. I talked to the president, and we worked it out. It was an oversight. And I just think that that's something, I don't know how you traditionally do that, but at the first meeting that we have for the new commissioners, is that something that we announce to the public, the actual commissions and boards that, we're on? Because I missed that particular meeting. So I needed to make sure I let folks know why. I wouldn't have been able to make it anyway because I had a niece in town I had to take back to an airport. So
I can answer part of your question.
Okay.
And give you just a little bit of the history behind how it's typically worked and the reason for the timing.
Okay.
Typically, what happens is as we approach the end of the prior year, the commission clerk or the liaisons with those different different boards and commissions reaches out to folks whose terms are expiring. We don't have, the terms have fixed limits. Most are 3 years. We homogenized that a couple of years ago. We had all sorts of crazy terms, and some were 1 year, some were 5 years, and we just made it pretty similar unless state law provided otherwise. And so, but as their term is coming up, someone reaches out to them to see whether they're interested in serving again, to make sure that they are, because we're not exactly overrun with volunteers for these boards and commissions. They don't provide compensation, and so we often struggle to fill them adequately. And then, so that is kind of washed out as the end, or worked out, I should say, as the year is coming to an end. And then we vote on those appointments at the next meeting, first meeting of the year, because if we don't, then they're not functioning bodies. And some of them absolutely have to be functioning because they have, real legal authority, planning, Board of Zoning Appeals, Housing Appeals. Those all have real power. And so it's necessary to have those in place. So the commission president so appointments are made in a lot of different ways. Sometimes the appointment is made almost always with the commission's consent, however. So the appointment, and it varies by statute, and varies by ordinance. Some are made by the the city manager. Some are made by the city commission. Some are made by the commission president. So I think Ms. Myers probably has a spreadsheet that's quite large that explains all these things, and that might provide some additional insight.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Additional questions or comments for the city manager? If not, then are there any items of old business? Commissioners, any items of new business?
I got just one for new business, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please.
And I did make a phone call on this, 2 phone calls, by the way. I made a phone call to Mr. Brady, and I made a phone call to Mr. Orzek. And it's concerning, our role as city commissioners and sometimes how we might have, I don't want to call it a complaint, but sometimes complaints, and we might have the option of saying, well, I'll get you to the city manager. But there are times when we have knowledge and we know certain people that can probably play a role in eradicating the issue, right? And I had a situation like that, and it's related to what's going on by Sunnyside. There's an area back there where there's a bunch of downed trees, debris, trash, and it's right next to the playground. And so I know an individual who is in upper management. He's retired from the railroad because I understand that property they control or own. And so I reached out to the individual to let him know it was a problem. And he basically said that I don't see any reason why we can't do something about that. But because I had reached out to him, I felt the need to reach out to Mr. Orzak, let him know that I reached out to him. They said it might not be a problem, or he said it actually shouldn't be a problem, and that, anything that you can do on the city side so we can take care of that. And so I immediately let him know, told him about it ahead of time. And so I wanted just some feedback from commissioners, because traditionally I'll stay out of the way. But as you all know, we're all connected to people, right? And so we can make a phone call sometimes to eradicate a problem or to deal with an issue. But I wanted to make sure, because I feel like I'm a part of a team, I wanted to make sure that, that's appropriate, that I can reach out and there's no pushback. And if you were in a similar situation with that kind of contact, would you do the same thing? Or have you done that before? Do you reach out to individuals in that way, if you can, and then spread that information to our city manager so he can take it from there?
So I will try to answer your question, and our colleagues may have additional information, but I will say, going now into my 14th year on the commission, I've made every mistake possible. If you can imagine it, I've done it. And I've done that same thing early on where I would contact who I thought was the appropriate staff member, and then I didn't tell the city manager. And it causes problems for the staff member. It can cause problems for the city manager. So the way you did it is exactly right. And with one little tweak, and that is, I think if we have something that we want to bring attention to, the best practice is to send a message directly to the city manager. You might copy the department person on it, but it causes problems within the organization because commissioners, you said you wanted to stay out of the way. You're now in the way because you're at the table, okay? Right. So we're in the way sometimes, and we can trip ourselves up despite our best intentions. So best way to handle it, I would recommend, is to contact Mr. Orzak, maybe copy the staff person, maybe not, depending upon, what you think about the situation. But so the way you did it was I think, good.
And I contacted Mr. Orzak and Mr. Brady.
Okay, yeah, good, great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other new business? If not, then we will turn to audience participation. Anyone wishing to address the City Commission on any issue of public business, city business, please step to the microphone. And Nick, I think you know the drill.
Yeah.
Name and address.
Yeah. Thanks so much. Yeah. Appreciate all of your time tonight. Commissioner Nick Etzeris, I'm with First Energy Ohio Edison. So I am your contact for Ohio Edison for the city of Sandusky. So more than anything, just wanted to check in, make sure you all had my contact information. I will be leaving some of my cards handy over here with feel free to reach out to me at any time if you have any questions or concerns or whatever's going on in your areas. We just obviously had some inclement weather the past weekend, and this area held up, fantastically with, very minimal outages. So anything that you're experiencing in your area, feel free to contact me at any time. I'm happy to help. That's what I'm there for. So more than anything, just wanted to reach out to you all and to check in.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Anyone else? Then the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.